Okay, look, y'all, here's the thing about that new footage that was released today by Alpha News that was apparently filmed by ICE agent Jonathan Ross during his murder of Renee Good in Minneapolis. Are we not at all a little bit suspicious about how that footage is seeing the light of day? So folks had sent me the clips like as soon as they dropped, and I didn't reshare it because I didn't know who Alpha News was. I just really quickly, searched them up. But I was like, this is not a credible source. I'm not seeing it from anywhere else except Alpha News. And in the age of AI generated everything, I was like, I'm not going to share this. Even just a quick search of Alpha News will show you that they're a right-wing rag. But in less than an hour after Alpha News dropped this footage, Midas Touch was resharing it, and it was immediately like all over Blue Sky, and very quickly was all over TikTok. TMZ and other outlets have now picked it up and reshared it. And I guess like no hate to Midas Touch, I wish there was more of an explanation about who the source is. And perhaps I speak for most of us who were watching this, and at first pass we were like, this is just so much more damning. It was just absolutely heartbreaking to watch this footage, especially because Renee's last words were, "That's fine, dude, I'm not mad at you." And after he murdered her, you can hear him on the recording saying, "fucking bitch." I definitely want to talk about that more in the next video. But I think that really was what gripped us when we saw that footage. But like JD Vance has reshared this, lots of right-wing media is resharing this, and they think that this paints Ross in a good light. So I was like, what are we missing here? What's going on? So I spent some time reading a number of creators and analysts that I respect very much and their thoughts on this video. And I want to share with you here what I think are probably some of the most important things to consider when you watch this video. And then at the end, I will share the video itself. This is from John Choi. I think he pronounces his first name John, not June. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I've followed him for a while, but okay. He says, probably the biggest mistake I'm seeing people make this week, especially the Trump administration, is not waiting for the facts. The release of footage alleged to be from the Minneapolis shooter's phone is one of the reasons why that's a mistake. Alpha News is a partisan trash news outlet. At a guess, whoever is handling Jonathan Ross right now had him release his cell phone video to the friendliest outlet that was also the least likely to confirm it. That is exactly what I thought when I first saw the footage this morning. It looks to have a few critical seconds missing or compressed. As professional journalists and videographers look at it today, I'm sure we'll find out more. I don't think it's inaccurate to presume that this release of this footage today is done in a way to minimize damage to Jonathan Ross and to ICE as much as possible. A healthy dose of skepticism about what we have viewed in that footage, I think is appropriate. So even in the most favorable light they can show this video, though, it shows Good basically driving away from a verbal confrontation right before she gets shot, which contributes to the idea that this was intentional, ideological, and malicious on Ross's part. It shows that Good backed up to make a three-point turn and was turning her car to drive down the street, not driving directly at Ross. If anything, it looks like Ross is crossing over the front of her car and initiating contact in order to have a self-defense pretext to shoot her. It shows that Ross can clearly see Good's hands on the wheel, moving the car away from him. He has plenty of time as the car is backing away to move away from it, from its expected direction of travel after it makes that three-point turn. It records someone, potentially Ross, muttering an expletive as he walks away, which looks even worse considering how ICE restricted medical professionals' access to Good after she was shot. Yeah, it was initially speculative, but it's now been confirmed that ICE blocked medical professionals from administering aid after the shooting. Although a critical segment seems to be missing, right? The second and third shots are missing. It does appear to confirm the New York Times video analysis from yesterday that pointed out that the car's wheels were pointing away from Ross. Even if he couldn't see the front wheels to infer that the car was going to move away from him, by the time he shot Good, he'd seen her turn the wheel. That would establish that he knew he wasn't in danger, but he killed her anyway. Right? Like this is footage that was intentionally released by Ross and his handlers, and it clearly shows that that Renee was not trying to run him over. Choi goes on to say, I don't know if it meets the legal definition of murder, but what I'm seeing looks increasingly like an intentional and unjustified act of killing by a right-wing extremist in uniform who got so butthurt after he lost an argument that he contrived to kill the person he was arguing with. This is why you don't put extremists in uniform, even if you think they're conveniently aligned with you. It's not an ideological issue. It's about force readiness, and ultimately, it's a quality issue. Hire enough extremists and it becomes inevitable that you'll end up with, pardon me, buddy fucker blue falcon shitbirds like Ross, who apparently think they can murder others for disagreeing with them and screw up everyone's nice, cushy ICE jobs because he couldn't keep his guns tight. People like him don't just bring down their own careers. That's not how blue falcons work. They fuck up entire units and bring down everyone around them. And in the end, standing there in the wreckage when it's all done, ultimately, people like Nome and Bovino don't have anyone to blame but themselves. And I've said this before, this is the function of a kakistocracy, right? Unqualified, incompetent, incapable people are put in charge. You take out of control men who cannot regulate their emotions and you give them firearms and put them in our cities and say, have at them. You're going to see Americans being murdered more and more. I do wonder what we're missing in this carefully crafted, released footage. What are we missing? How much worse is it actually? Because again, this is what Ross and his folks, ICE, whoever, his handlers, chose to release to the press. It's definitely edited. We don't see the second and third shots. It's definitely not the full story. And even the partial story is incredibly damning. So I'm going to show that footage for you here. Again, watch with caution. It's really upsetting.
Every morning, just so you know, it'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Okay.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car.